Hello, this is Vanessa. Welcome to Intro to Backbending. I'm going to start talking a little bit about backbending before I show you any of the poses or stretches that I do. When you're doing backbending, it's not like front bending. When you do front bending, it requires a little bit of the forward motion of your back and it relies heavily on your legs. Backbending really doesn't rely on your legs. Backbending requires three things. It requires you to have arm strength. There are a lot of backbending poses where you're completely lifting yourself up on your arms like a handstand, but in some kind of backbending motion. It requires you to have a flexible back. Whether it's natural or you work on it, your back has to be flexible. Because if your back's not flexible, well then you're not too much of a backbender, are you? And then it requires the strength of your back. You have to be able to hold your poses or to be able to use your back to get into the poses. If you can't do that, there are a lot of poses that you're not going to be able to do until you get that strength. The first pose that I'm going to show you is the twist. The twist is good for any front bend you may do, for any back bend you may do. You should do it before you do a front bend, before you do a back bend, in between each. It's just a good transition pose for whatever you may be doing. So what you want to do for the twist is you want to take this hand, like if you're twisting this way, you want to take this hand, and you want to put it in your inner thigh right here. And then you want to take this hand and you want to put it by this knee. And then all you do is you just pull yourself. This is pulling? Yes, you want to pull yourself and try to twist yourself as much as you can. And then you want to go the other way. Take this hand, put it here, take this hand, go here, and then you want to twist. When you get good enough at twisting for like strength or whatever it is, you don't have to hold yourself and you can just twist yourself like that. And then you don't have to do all of that and all of that. And the next pose I'm going to show you is the cobra. It's a basic backbending stretch. It's also a good stretch to do for front bending, as it will loosen your vertebrae and make you feel better and make you do better. So what you want to do for the cobra is you just want to lay down, and then you put your arms like this, and then you just lift yourself up like this. When you get better at backbending, it's like you can just lift yourself up without using your hands, or like with less need of the hands. And when you also get better, you can use these yoga blocks and you can put your hands on them, so that way your arms are longer and then you can get a deeper curl. Yoga blocks, very useful. Everybody should get some. The next pose that I'm going to show you is a very simple one to do. I like doing this at the beginning and the end because it doesn't take a lot of effort, it doesn't take a lot of strength, it's just a good stretch for the back. So what you do is you just kind of kneel and then lay down. And then it lifts part of your back up, so you have this nice curve. And then you just lay here like this, and that's all you do. It's really simple. This is one of the easiest backbends to do because it doesn't require a lot of anything. As you get better at backbending, you should try to make the curve in your back when you lay like that tighter, so that way your torso gets shorter. I find yoga blocks helpful because this should never be very hard on your back. It should never take a lot of strength to maintain. So what you can do for this is you can put it where your back curves, so that way the yoga block takes off any stress or strain that your muscles would have to do in order to hold it. And then you just want to make sure that your shoulders always touch the ground. If the yoga block makes your back too high so you can't touch the ground, then that means you're not flexible enough to be able to use the yoga block for this. One of the simplest poses for backbending is the wheel. I do it a lot. Riley does it less than she should. When you do the wheel, there's two ways to get into it. You can either lay down and push yourself up, which is good if you can't convince yourself to get into the wheel, if you can't fall back. If you have any wrist problems, you should probably push yourself up, because falling back into it constantly, like I do, puts a lot of strain on the wrists and thus has more of a chance of hurting them. So if you lay down, what you want to do is you just kind of want to go like this. Put your hands and legs however far apart you feel comfortable lifting yourself up, and then you just do it. And then for the other way, you stand up and you fall backwards. Everybody has their own way of going into the wheel. Some people use one hand, some people use both hands, some people just push themselves up. It doesn't really matter. What I recommend is whether you can fall back or you have to push yourself up, I recommend trying to always stand up from the wheel, because that allows you to gain more muscles. Typically right here, sometimes it changes depending on how I get up, but it's just good to build that muscle, because it's always good to try to build as much muscle when you're doing that, when you're doing backbending, because whatever muscle you're gaining from doing any kind of backbending is going to be good at some point in the future. The next one I'm going to show you is the camel. I like this pose, I like to do this pose before I do the pigeon pose. And what the camel is you go on your knees and then you just go like this. This is the very simple part of it. When you get better at it, you want to, what you can do, you don't necessarily have to, but what you can do is you can use a towel and you can put it like under your legs, and then you can just grab it and then pull, so that way when you're pulling it, it extends your back more and then just bends it. Towel! So what you can do is you can lay the towel down and then you put your feet on top of it, and then you can grab the towel and then pull. And then as you pull, it will bend your back more rather than just going like this. But going like this is just a good stretch for before you do anything intense and after you do anything intense. Because before you do it, it loosens it, and then after you do it, it just relaxes your back. Doing a lot of poses, similar poses before and after, are really good for stretching and really good for relaxing. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you is the pigeon pose. The pigeon pose is one of the harder poses that I do. If you feel any strain, if you feel too much of a strain in your back when you attempt it, you should stop. You should try other poses. You should get your back more flexible before you do the pigeon pose. The pigeon pose is a more advanced pose. It's harder to do. It's really hard on your back and your neck, because you rest your head on your feet, which kind of pushes your head against the ground. So when you're doing it, if you feel any pain in your back, too much of a strain in it, you should stop and just try to get your back more flexible before you do it. So what the pigeon pose is you just want to kneel like this, and then you go down like you would for the wheel, like this. I recommend actually trying to go down like you would in a wheel, because it is a lot more difficult to get into the pigeon pose if you lay down and try to get up. I've learned that it's more difficult to try to sit up in the pigeon pose rather than just lay down and get up. So I don't always get up from the pigeon pose, but you can if you want to try to build more muscle.